All right. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and talk about what is psychosis. It's basically an abnormal state involving significant problems with reality. It is brain based. The person has a very altered perception of things in their world compared to what we do. They have diminished cognitive processing, changes in their affect, and very often it impacts how they are behaving, right? And that all sounds great, but it's very kind of like scientific kind of thing. And when we're talking with legislators, it helps if you can kind of illustrate that. Well, when my son had his first psychosis, he called in the middle of the night and told me he died and he'd come back to life and he turned into God. And we needed to go get him and take him to Washington to go to save the world, right? That illustrates what psychosis is. And so, a skill to gain is to be able to kind of help put that into a story so that they can understand what that's like. Imagine if that was your kid, right? And psychosis does involve hallucinations. And it's not just hearing voices, which is the most common one, but sometimes they might see things that aren't there, feel things that aren't there, taste things that aren't there, smell things. It can be any of the senses. They often have delusions. Their reality is not our shared reality, but it is real to them. They have negative symptoms where they disengage and withdraw from the world. Often they have disordered thinking or speaking, and often they might even have some disorganized or abnormal motor behavior. And the problem is that if we leave somebody in psychosis, it reduces the treatment effectiveness, right? It makes the illness more treatment resistant the longer somebody's in psychosis. It causes brain damage. It causes the symptoms to become more severe. It makes the lack of insight about their own illness more severe. And it's an actual neurotoxicity. And often cognitive decline also happens, right? And you can see the difference in the brains here between the healthy brain and the brain that's not as healthy. And I even had a conversation with a legislator once who said, I just think these illnesses are caused by bad parenting and cell phones. So I pulled out this picture and showed it to him. He's like, oh my God, it does that in the brain? It's that different? And I said, yes. And I'm sorry, but I have two children. That didn't happen to my other child. And I don't think a cell phone can cause those changes in a brain. Real conversations help them to understand what these illnesses are. Okay, I'm going to talk on advocacy language. In the space of SMI advocacy, especially on social media, you will see people who are advocates who want to police other people's language. No, it's not okay to call it a mental illness. You need to call it a brain disorder or brain illness. There's a lot of that goes on because everybody thinks that words are important and the most important things. And let me just say, words are important, and I get it. But it doesn't help if we are policing each other's language more than we are helping each other, right? And we really don't want to police language of a legislator. There's a way to kind of make yourself irritating very quickly, and that's by getting out your red pen, right? What I rather do is encourage people to bring people along to understand that mental illnesses are brain illnesses by interchanging the words. Kate modeled that even during her introduction today. It becomes easier the more that you do it, but just be kind to each other and other people and understand that not everybody has the same level of understanding of